second person on the BIR.
Thank you for the recognition. Would you yield, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I may have discussed this with you. I had a local organization in Mobile that had a virtual meeting this week. Now, we're all in Mobile, but they chose to get together virtually. And so that's my concern, that it is only under special circumstances. And I don't think there's any replacement for the actual networking of your esteemed board to be together and make those decisions. So I do hope that we revisit this in the next couple of years and make sure that everybody is not using this as a reason to not get together and coalesce over whatever you need to do, coalesce over whatever you need to do for your university.
Right.
Do you foresee that as being an issue with this?
I don't, because, you know, we, even like next, on the 8th, we have a committee meetings, and people plan on coming, whether this bill passes or not. It's just giving us another tool in the toolbox to be able to do business. And I think we're going to see this done a lot more in the near future, where people are looking to this because of the unforeseen circumstances with COVID and things like that, where people just couldn't really get together like they needed to. And this happened to us about a month ago. So it's just very important to us. But it's definitely something, just like any other law that we pass, we could definitely revisit at any time.
Well, I'm going to vote in support of your bill, but I would hope that any of these boards across the state of Alabama, if we have people consistently not showing up for no good reason, I wish they'd give other people on their boards, other people the opportunity to serve on the boards that can show up in person.
I agree, because I drive 2 hours to those board meetings, so I agree.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. And the chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Representative Pringle. Third person on the BR.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, what this bill does, it puts Alabama State University on par with the other four-year colleges in the state. It treats them the same as we're treating the other universities. And Mr. Chestnut has a bill that will come before you shortly that addresses the issue of these virtual meetings. And we're trying to make it uniform. It's a Senate bill, and it says you can do it. You can still collect your per diem, but you're not going to be able to collect travel per diem if you don't actually physically attend the building. But this bill particularly keeps Alabama State on par with the University of Alabama. UAH is in this bill, and Auburn University and the other four-year colleges. And it's a good bill, and thank you for bringing it.
Thank you, Representative Pringle.
All right, and the chair recognizes the gentleman from Madison, Representative Daniels, fourth person speaking on the BR.
You come on down here. Come on, you come on down here.
Gentleman Yield?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the last speaker mentioned that this is for Alabama State and Alabama A&M. I was just curious why there's so many supporters of Alabama State and Alabama A&M that are not supporters of Alabama State and Alabama A&M. So I was just curious to make certain that I was reading the bill correctly, that this bill is about Alabama State and Alabama A&M.
You are exactly right.
So my suggestion is if folks are not supporters of, if they want to be supporters, we're happy to have them of Alabama State and Alabama A&M. And so I just wanted to make certain that I was clear on that.
You are exactly clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, members, the question now is going to be on the adoption of the BIR. If you're in favor of the BIR, your vote is aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 98 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The BIR is adopted. And Representative Bracey, we're back on the bill.
Okay, if no further questions, I move final passage.
We're on final passage of Senate Bill 159. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson County, Representative Garrett, speaking on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for recognition. The gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
So I fully support this bill. And in fact, one of the discussions I've been having offline is about virtual meetings in general. The governor's executive order allowed for virtual meetings. I think we proved the past couple of years we can do that. They've become very efficient and all of that. I actually have 2 bills that I've asked to be picked next week that would be for the treasurer, state treasurer, where they're looking for virtual meetings for their boards. They have small boards. They need financial experts for to manage our Alabama Trust Fund, the PAC board, things like that. And they need people with high level of financial experience. Sometimes these meetings last 30 minutes, and it's difficult to get these people to drive in for those meetings. The omnibus bill, I think that we're going to be looking at in a few minutes, which I'm also support though, has a minimum number of people have to be present physically during those meetings. I think we're in the 21st century. I personally feel like we're either virtual or you're not. So, but that bill has an exception that would allow for the treasurer's boards, if you have board members that are in 2 different counties,
Right.
that you would be able to do a 100% virtual meeting. The intent is they don't want city councils and municipalities and things like that. I agree with all that. So I support your bill, and I'm not really lobbying for mine right now. I guess I am a little bit, but I want to say that next week when it comes up, that bill would grandfather in what the treasurer wants to do, so he can have these high-level meetings. So these meetings with these experts, that'd be 100% virtual.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for that, and I'll support you back next week.
Okay, appreciate that.
All right.
All right, members, the question is on final passage of Senate Bill 159. If you're in favor of this bill, your vote is aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 100 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention, and Senate Bill 159 is passed. Chair thanks the gentleman.
Thank you, members.
Clerk will call the next bill on special order.
On page 20 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 59 by Senator Singleton relating to a pilot program.
And Representative Bracy, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you. This bill would establish the prison prep pilot program for small business development under the Board of Pardons and Paroles and the Department of Corrections. Bill will also be in conjunction with Ingram State, and the funding is already in place for this legislation, but we needed to actually pass the bill for them to be able to do the service. So if there's no questions, I move the BIR.
All right, the question is the adoption of the BIR. If you're in favor of the BIR, your vote is aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. The BIR is adopted. Representative Bracy.
Yes, sir. I move final passage.
We're on final passage of Senate Bill 59. If you're in favor of this bill, your vote is aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. There are 98 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and Senate Bill 59 is passed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Clerk, call the next bill on the special order.
On page 35 of the calendar, House Bill number 446 by Representative Standridge relating to 911 telephone calls.
Representative Standard, you recognize.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill basically, it makes it clear that 911 recordings are not made available to the public, but the written transcripts of those calls are available if the people pay the fee, and it's only the fee that's the cost of making the transition. This statute has been on the books for 12 years now. This just clarifies what the intent of the original law is, and it sets a time for those recordings to be held, which is 2 years. And it also can be held for an additional 2 years if it's under investigation. So with that, I move for the BIR.
All right, the question is adoption of the BIR. If you're in favor of the BIR, your vote is aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. The BIR is adopted. Representative Standridge.
Move for final passage.
We're on final passage of House Bill 446. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Madison, Representative Daniels, speaking on the bill.
Gentleman Yo.
Yes.
Did you say that not recording or recording the calls? I couldn't hear you.
The recordings of the 911 call is not available to the public. It's only available under a court order or if there's an investigation or something going on. But a written transcript is available.
So the written transcript will be available to anyone that
Yes.
requested?
Yes, that pays the fee. It would be.
Okay.
There's a, and this is under existing law. It's been on the books for 12 years. There was just not some clarity about how long they had to keep the recordings. And this also makes it clear that certain personal identification can be redacted from those transcripts if needed.
Okay. So currently, you can request the actual recording? You
No.
said currently, you cannot?
You can't. You
Okay.
can't at this point. The only,
This would allow for a written transcript?
correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, members, we're on final passage. If you're in favor of this bill, your vote is aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and House Bill 446 is passed.
Thank you, members.
Yes, sir. Chair thanks the gentleman. Clerk, call the next bill on special order.
On page 36 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 147 with amendments by Senator Orr relating to governmental bodies.
And the chair recognizes Representative Chestnut.
May I please? This bill is a bill that that's put together that had collaboration from the various groups, whether it be the counties, the municipalities, and the press. And so this bill actually will allow for virtual meetings under certain circumstances. You would still have to have a quorum physically present, and those who would be additional folks who do not have to be there to make the quorum may attend virtually. And if there are no questions, I'd like to move for the BIR.
Okay, we do still have a light on. Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Jim, you yield.
I do.
You know, I have major heartburns about this bill. And I understand you talking about the collaboration there was. You know, I also had a bill in after I had a conversation with some of our people in Birmingham who let me know early in January that they were not able to do Zoom sessions because the governor's executive order had expired. So I did my due diligence and did the bill. Now, I understand you talking about collaboration. Now, those people knew that my bill had been dropped, and they basically told me they was going to hold mine up so that this bill from the senator could catch up, first be written, and then caught up. Now, if it's a collaboration of everybody who I understand that had one, I also had one. So it was just a collaboration with certain people that they felt that they could talk to, because my bill had already been dropped. And you don't have no problem. They've killed a lot of bills like I have. They don't even let them go into committee. But there are bills that address the needs of my constituents. And when I dropped it, and for them to say they're gonna hold it up so that this bill could catch up and not allow mine to come in committee or to the floor, period, I take issue. But they do due diligence to everybody else who had a bill that would allow municipalities to do Zoom. They did their due diligence and pulled all of you all together to come up with this bill, but they couldn't talk to me except to tell me that they weren't letting my bill come forth. I think that I should have been included if it's fairness. Everybody who had a similar bill, if you're gonna bring everybody else to the table, I should have been brought to the table also. I'm about tired of them selecting which black people they want to talk to. I can speak the Queen English as well as anybody else. I'm as intelligent or more intelligent because I'm descendants of kings and queens. But it just bothered me, and we stand up and talk about how they collaborated with everybody who had a bill. But you tell me mine has to be held up. There's another one coming. I'll come back to the floor again. I understand there are certain colors these white folks talk to. There are certain ones they don't. You don't know what the conversation was, so stop whatever you got to say. I know what they said to me in my office. And then to say that they could pull together everybody else that had a similar bill. They knew I had a bill too. They knew I had one. But them to decide who they're gonna talk to, you don't never have to like me or nothing. But I come into this legislature because people elected me. On the average, we serve the same or close to the same number of people. If my constituents and the people in my city ask me to drop a bill and I do my due diligence, if other people have something similar, certainly, if you could pull most of them together to say how we can make this a statewide bill, I think I'm worthy of the same communication and the same dialogue. I don't ask nobody in here to stand with me. I'm a fully grown woman, a fully grown black woman. I could stand. But it just bothers me, and it's been done over and over again in this legislature where my bills have been hijacked, converted to something else, and then you don't have the decency to include me. Then, oh, we collaborated. Who collaborated? That's an insult. And we as a people, at some point in time, we got to come together and say, look here, I'll sit down and talk with you when you talk with my colleagues, when you talk to the people that's in my party, when you talk with the people that's in my race. But we're so prone to be wanting to be accepted by other people. Oh, they might not let another bill out. Well, they might not. But let's do the right thing when it comes forth. And I understand with you that they did not let you know about the bill that I had, but they were talking to me to let me know mine was not coming forth.
Yes.
So if there's a level of communication with everybody with a similar bill, I certainly would like to be a part of it. I've come to this floor when I've dropped bills, and I've made the statement that if there are other bills out that are similar, I am more than willing to work with the people who have the bills that are similar to mine. I've come to this floor and said that over and over again. But I just do not like being excluded, and anybody could come and say, oh, everybody with the similar bill, we call them together. But you didn't call me. They knew my bill was out there. That's all I want to say. You don't have to comment. We talked about it, and I respect the fact that they asked you to carry it. But I'm sick and tired of the games these boys and girls play in this house in the Republic cult.
Okay, I do want to address how it came that I got this bill. I found out, I had my bill created January 31st, and I found out that there were other similar bills out there. I found out that Senator Orr had a bill that was almost the exact same bill, except for there were two phrases that were different. And so I contacted Senator Orr. He didn't contact me. I contacted him. And then we talked. And then he says, well, why don't you be the House sponsor? You can go ahead, drop your bill, and we'll work through it. And that's how it happened. So,
All right, let's go ahead and move on. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Talladega, Representative Robbins, speaking on the BIR.
Oh, Representative Chestnut, how are you?
doing all right.
I guess I just want to ask you a couple questions or talk for a minute. I filed a similar bill to this, correct? That you were, and
Yeah, because you and I, we did talk about it.
yeah, because you
brought it to me.
Yeah, because I brought it to you. That this has been filed because I said I talked to Arthur Orr. But I guess to clarify, was I involved or in any of these conversations or debates that were going on about it?
It was just Arthur and I. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I just thought. So I just wanted to clarify, I guess, that, you know, I love Miss Moore, but I just wanted to clarify her point that.
And with the collaboration part, what I meant was I talked to like the folks from the League of Municipalities, the press writers, and so those were the folks that I talked to, and we had like multiple meetings. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, also want to make a point. I think that when we get into this on the BIR, when Representative Pringle came down, he made a statement that it would cover per diem. Per diem would still be paid, but from reading your bill, if you reading your bill, so if you did a virtual meeting, you would not be paid your per diem or your mileage, correct?
Yeah. If you participated virtually, no. If you were physically present, yes.
Okay, so I just wanted everyone to be aware that you would not receive any money if you don't appear in person.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. All right, members, the question before us now is the adoption of the BIR on Senate Bill 147. If you're in favor of the BIR, your vote is aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The BIR is adopted. And Representative Chestnut, we're on committee amendments now.
Okay, so there are 2 committee amendments that were made, but those amendments were made to the original version, not the engrossed version. And so at this time, I would like to lay those committee amendments on the table.
All right, let's take them one at a time. We've got hold on. There's no debate on the table motion.
Yeah, it was a technical error. That's what, yeah. I withdraw my motion.
All right, now puts us back on the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Well, hold on just a minute. Let's make sure I understand where we are. We're addressing now the first committee amendment that was offered, and the sponsor originally tabled, but he's withdrew that, which opens the amendment on the floor now, and you're speaking to that.
yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, basically what happened was when the committee met, we had the introduced version of the bill in front of us. So when we read the bill and we read the amendments, they lined up. Unfortunately, what the Senate sent us was an engrossed version that they had amended. So now the amendments don't actually match the engrossed version. So what we're going to do is we're going to table these 2 amendments, and we're going to have the engrossed version before us, and we're going to put the amendments on the engrossed version so the page and line will line up. I don't know what happened, but in the committee meeting when we checked, we must have had just the introduced version and not the engrossed version. So with that, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, let's go. And I've got lights on. The gentleman from Jefferson County, Representative Garrett, you want to speak on this amendment on the floor?
Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
I'm not sure which amendment this is, but what we're doing here will contain the amendment that I mentioned earlier that relates to the treasurer's office. Is that right?
Yes, we're going to have
The grandfather clause
yes.
for bills for people who are in more than one county.
That's this amendment
That's
right
the
here,
second
one.
But the engrossed version contains that language already, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, okay, all right, members. Then let's go back now, Representative Chestnut, to the first committee amendment, and your motion would be?
To lay that amendment on the table.
That's correct, okay, all right. All right, the vote we're fixing to take now will be a table motion for the first committee amendment. If Representative Hall, we got a table motion on the floor. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's go ahead and move forward then with the table motion. If you're in favor of the tabling motion, your vote will be aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Voting on the table motion for the first committee amendment. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 98 yeas, 0 nays, 3 abstentions, and the first committee amendment has been tabled.
So any group that would have members from 2 or more counties will be able to. So you're going to offer this to the engrossed person? So you're going to offer 2 amendments? Yes. Okay.
And now we're on the second committee amendment. Representative Chestnut and Representative Hall, do you want to speak on this before he makes a motion?
She want to speak on it?
She wants to speak on the committee amendment before you make your motion.
Okay.
Because once you make your motion, then all discussion ends.
So the bill that I have is 2160543.
Twenty-one 60.
54-3.
Yes, that's correct. That's the engrossed version.
All right, okay, so help me to find out where you are now.
Okay, so what happened is this is the same amendment, right, that I have here. It's just that when it was drawn up, the numbers didn't line up because it was drawn up for the original as opposed to the engrossed version. And so that it's misaligned numerically.
All right, tell me, you have this, you're tabling something and then you're adding something. I'm trying to catch up with what are you tabling?
Same, it's going to be the same language. So I'm tabling it because it's a technical error that needs to be created. Yeah. So the first part that I tabled was the local county municipal virtual meetings. The second one, this one we're on now, is the grandfather clause that's being tabled.
Okay, so.
But they're going to be brought right back. That's, once we just got to get them lined up correctly.
I hear you. So when I look at these and trying to figure out what you're doing, I need some location.
Oh, okay, okay. So the First Amendment, it allows the counties and the municipalities to participate. Okay, because right now in an engrossed Senate version, it doesn't include counties and municipalities. It will include them once this First Amendment is placed on there. And the Second Amendment is going to be the grandfather clause. So if you already have a situation.
Let me just say, what you need, I'm going to go ahead, Mr. Speaker, and let him go ahead and table this. Then when he comes with his amendment, maybe I can figure out exactly where it's located in this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll point that out to you. Okay.
All right. And the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore, you wish to speak before he makes his motion?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. General, you yield.
I do.
What is the grandfather clause that you're talking about?
That clause will allow the legislation involving meetings of 2 or more counties with specific statutory or constitutional authority to meet by electronic means under a procedure different than this particular section. So like, for instance, there's municipal healthcare authorities. By law, they can meet, that way.
That's right.
It's actually written in the statute.
Right.
And so this grandfather clause, we're saying, look, we're not pretermitting or overriding
The grandfather
anything
clause.
that's already in place.
In place.
That's correct.
And so what happens with the amendment you table?
That I'm tabling them just to bring them back and get them lined up numerically, because what happened was when we did it when we took it in committee, we did not have the engrossed version. We had as it was introduced.
Okay.
Therefore, it went through a few changes in the Senate. And so now we've just got to line it up with the actual engrossed version so that everything fits.
With the grandfather clause and everything?
The grandfather clause is going to be on there, and the clause that makes it, that puts the municipalities and the counties in it also.
Yeah, that was in my first bill.
Right.
All right, let's go ahead, and the Representative Chestnut, now it's time for your motion on the committee amendment. Second committee amendment.
Oh, yes, move the table.
Move the table.
Yes.
All right, the motion before us is to table the second committee amendment. If you're in favor of that table motion, your vote will be aye. If you opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted? All the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 98 yeas, 0 nays, 3 abstentions, and the second committee amendment has been tabled. Now we're back on the bill without any amendments. And I think you want to offer a floor. Is that an amendment or a sub or what?
It's an amendment to the engrossed version of the Senate bill.
All right, okay. The engrossed version of the Senate bill that came to us, and this is an amendment to that. Mr. Clerk.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 147 by Representative Chestnut.
And Representative Chestnut, give explanation to what we are and what we're doing.
Yes, so this amendment will now put local, county, and municipalities in the mix for virtual meetings. And it will provide that a quorum must be physically present for local governing bodies to hold meetings, but it will allow for members who are absent due to illness to be allowed to fully participate and vote.
Okay, all right. Members, you've heard explanation of the amendment to the engrossed version on the Senate bill. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall, speaking on the floor amendment.
Thank you. Now, if you would walk me through that amendment that you have, which page are you on?
Okay, let's go to page 1.
Okay.
Line 13.
Okay.
You see that?
Yeah.
After the word means,
Got it.
insert the following. To add section 36-25A-5.2 to the Code of Alabama to provide for electronic attendance at meetings of local governmental bodies by members and the public. Okay?
Okay.
Right. And then let's move over to page 4 after line 22.
After line, what?
Line 22 on page 4.
Okay.
Okay. You see it's right there near the bottom where section 2 is?
Sure.
Okay, so what we're going to do right there is we're going to renumber the subsequent section, right? So section, where it says here, okay, section 36-25A-5.2 of the code is added to the Code of Alabama to read
So where are you adding at 36? Are you adding that at the end of sentence 2 or a new section?
So you see where, okay, section 2, we're gonna, this is gonna go at the front.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what it's going to read. The new section is going to read: any governmental body as defined in section 36-25A-2 that is a county, a municipality, or an entity established by or whose members are appointed by a county or municipality may allow participation in a meeting of that body by means of telephone conference, video conference, or other similar communications equipment that allows all participants to hear one another at the same time, provided that both of the following conditions are fulfilled. Number one, that no less than a quorum of the members are physically present at the physical location. And two, that the members of the body participating electronically are unable to be physically present at the meeting due to illness. Okay?
So the exemption really has to deal with illness, and there must be a quorum.
And then let's go to subpart B of that same section is added. Participation by electronic means are authorized in this section, as authorized in this section, shall constitute presence in person at the meeting for all purposes except for the establishment of a quorum. Okay? And then subpart C is going to read: at least 45 days before the first meeting that a governmental body uses electronic means of communication as authorized by this section, the body shall adopt an electronic meeting policy detailing the procedures and communications equipment that will be used, how the public may access the meeting, and how voting will be conducted. And subpart D, each meeting in which members of a governmental body are participating by electronic means as authorized in this section shall be held at a physical location available for people who want to be physically present, at which any interested member of the public shall be able to hear all persons who are participating remotely. And then subpart E, any vote taken at a meeting utilizing the equipment authorized by subsection A shall be taken as a roll call vote that allows each participant to vote individually in a manner audible to all persons participating or present at the physical location. And subpart F, the last part, a member participating in a meeting by electronic means as provided in this section may not claim any form of reimbursement for expenses relating to that meeting, including mileage. And that's because they don't have any mileage because they didn't get in their car and go.
You said any, may not include any expenses, including mileage, all right?
That's correct.
So there's also a roll call vote for vote taken. There should also be a physical place for meeting as well as a virtual place for meeting.
And the physical place also has to provide a location for people from the public to come and be present.
And then in order to do that, there must be at least 45 days notice. Is that what I heard you say? It said 45 days electronic meeting policies. Does that mean that there should be a notice or the policies being listed?
Which section are you looking at?
Your part C, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it just says that at least 45 days before the first meeting that a governmental body will use the electric means. So, once you can put a standing order in place and then just kind of go from there.
And then B was a person can be present in person.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, it's a lot of transparency in the bill just to make sure the public and the media is available to take part in it.
Thank you.
And the chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson County, Representative Garrett.
Gentleman Yield?
Yes.
Sorry to keep wearing you out on this bill here, but I'm trying to understand. So I thought the amendment was going to say that you had to have a minimum of 3 people, but this says you have to have a quorum. Is that right?
Yes, you have to have
So what's the point in having a virtual meeting then? If you've got a quorum, I don't,
Well, but you might have 5 members, right? And as long as 3 show up, then the other 2 could, come in virtually.
but if the two didn't show up, you can still have a meeting. I guess if the point is to be 21st century virtual, it feels like we're not doing that. I mean,
Yeah, I know you and I, we talked about
Right,
that,
right.
but I think that, honestly, I think the media probably.
and that's what I don't
is
understand.
concerned
Yeah, I don't understand
with-
why the media, because I think there's plenty of transparency, and they can all sign on. I mean, we've been doing Zoom calls and these things for 2 years, right? So I don't know. I don't understand. I'm going to support my grandfather clause because there's some boards that really, this makes no sense. But I don't really understand. Was this the amendment from the Senate or from the committee? This amendment right here?
Oh, this is one that, from the committee.
From the committee?
From the committee. Because like I said, when I and the senator talked about it, the difference was in my original bill, I had municipalities and counties included.
Right.
So it was a little, my bill
I-
was a little more open, kind of like but it wasn't full carte blanche
Right.
virtual.
And
But
I
it
understand
was-
why some localities want to have people, but it just strikes me as odd that we're going to do allow for virtual meetings, but you have to have a quorum. If in that case, you don't really need to have virtual meetings, right? I mean,
Well, I will tell you this, that I have gotten a lot of people in the area where I live, they are concerned about virtual and it getting away from the public. I don't know if it's perceived or if it's real,
well,
but
now, I understand broadband might be a limitation in some areas, right? I
Correct,
get that.
correct.
But it just strikes me as odd because it'd be easy for somebody to sign on virtually to watch than I think physically have to go. So I don't know, it just seems like a lot of work to not really get as far as I think we could get. Although you've done I'm not criticizing your work. I'm just saying that.
not to say that this won't be a work in progress, right? Just like our broadband bills,
Right.
as we progress and as the public appetite becomes more, palatable to this, then I think we might, next year might.
I'm going to support the grandfather clause.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Speaker, did we, on the First Amendment, have we,
We've got the floor amendment.
yes,
Yes.
the floor amendment.
Yeah, do you have another
I
amendment?
have a second.
Oh, you do have a second amendment?
Yes, sir.
All right, and clerk received the second amendment? Well, no, I'm sorry, hold on, I'm confused myself now.
Okay.
We still got to vote on
we
this
hadn't voted.
amendment,
We
the
hadn't-
first amendment you made. Hold on just a second, Representative Chestnut.
At this time, I ask that the bill be carried over to the next special order calendar.
Oh, okay, all right, and let's just carry it over, and then it'll go back on the pick list, and then we'll work with the other bill, because yeah, because of the timeline and the other bill involved, and this is a Senate bill, so we've got time to work on the bill. Okay, are there any objections to the sponsor requesting that we carry this bill over? Okay. All right, we've made a little progress, so that motion is adopted then, and carried over. All right, Mr. Clerk, let's go to the next bill on the special order.
On page 41 of the calendar, House Bill number 458, a constitutional amendment by Representative Sorrells relating to economic development.
Representative Sorrells, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All right, y'all. Are they going to make me turn and ask for the BIR?
Well, that's the question if you want
Yes,
to vote.
sir. I'd like to throw the BIR.
Okay, all right. If you're in favor of let's just throw it out there then. If you're in favor of voting on the BIR on House Bill 458, your vote would be aye. Yes. If you oppose, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Voting on the BIR. All the members voted. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. So the BIR is adopted. And Representative Sorrells.
Mr. Speaker, I do have a floor amendment.
Okay, all righty.
Come on.
Clerk receive the amendment.
Amendment to House Bill number 458 by Representative Sorrells.
I'll make this short and painless, y'all, I promise.
All right, go ahead and explain your amendment.
Okay, on page 5, there was discussions of section 222, which deals with the bond issues. All this does is put it back into the 772. So any bonds that are gone out and applied for, you will have to go through the referendum process.
Okay, all right, members, you've heard the floor amendment offered by the sponsor.
How many?
And at this point, we're ready to vote on the floor amendment. If you're in favor of the floor amendment, your vote will be aye. If you oppose, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. There are 101 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and the floor amendment is adopted. Now, Representative Sorrells.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for final passage.
Okay, all right, we're on final passage of House Bill 458 as amended. If you're in favor of this bill, your vote is aye. If you oppose, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. There are 101 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and House Bill 458 is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your work. Clerk, call the next bill on special order.
On page 39 of the calendar, House Bill number 304 by Representative Baker relating to solid waste management.
And Representative Baker, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it seems like the members are quite well informed of this bill. I move for adoption of the BIR.
All right, if you're in favor of the BIR, Representative Moore, you want to speak on the BIR on this bill? Okay, go ahead and explain your bill.
Certainly, I'll be more than happy to. This bill is a non-substantive technical revision to existing law. This is regarding landfill permit citing. So after the initial approval by local government, this would clarify that the local governing body of a county or municipality is not required to approve by vote each and every technical revision made during the ADM permitting process.
All right, and let's go ahead and move forward with the vote on the BIR. If you're in favor of the BIR, your vote is aye. If you oppose, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. All the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. There are 97 yeas, 4 nays, 0 abstentions. The BIR is adopted. Representative Baker, we're back on the bill now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there may be some questions. I'll be more than happy to try to answer any that I can on that. If not, then I move for final passage on the bill.
All right, we're on final passage of House Bill 304. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Fayette County, Representative South. We're on final passage of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Baker, just had a couple of questions. You've probably read a couple of issues that we've had over in Jefferson County that have not been great situations. But the current situation there is a landfill that is amending their transportation plan, for better words. Would this eliminate them from having to go back to that local authority to be able to do that, or do they have to do that currently? I've just got a concern that local municipality or whatever doesn't have to approve again, and maybe their citizens are not aware of the activity that's going to be going on at that site.
This is, so the permitting process is initiated at the local level with what's called a local host government, that being the municipality or the county government.
Right.
And so there's a lot that goes into that. And this goes back to 2017, in which at that time, under the Bentley administration, I was named to chair a solid waste management task force, out of which we produced some legislation to refine the process. So to make sure that locals had strong involvement to know, in advance. But anyway, go ahead.
I guess, let me change my question, okay? If they had to amend their permit to allow for a different type of waste, would the locals also have to take a vote on that? Or would they just amend it through ADM?
I'll see if I can find, that may be a question for ADM on that. That's a more technical question. In regards to that, I will say the locals, really their involvement, because they are not handling the more technical part of it, because they're not really skilled and experts in that.
I get that,
Right.
and I understand what you're trying to do, and if I'm thinking through this correctly, I don't think they would, but I think there are a lot of cases where they should have to. They should have to answer those folks locally as well, and it may be something we can talk about offline before it moves through upstairs. So I'm sorry, this one kind of caught me off guard.
Well, no,
I apologize.
no.
But I'll get with you.
Certainly, I'll work to resolve those concerns as well. This does travel upstairs as well and all on that, but we definitely want the locals involved, but we simply didn't want it where it had to keep coming back each time that a technical revision and that they weren't skilled at.
And if it's technical in nature, I get it more so than the change of actually what the waste is.
Exactly, but we do want that local approval, because if it doesn't meet the local approval first, it doesn't even go to ADM at all, period.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson County, Representative Rogers.
I think I like this. So other words, say Montgomery or Mobile. All right, before they can do anything at their waste site, they gotta get approval of the city of Mobile. Right? Is that what you say?
Whoever the designated local host, that being the municipality or the county, then they would be the local host. There would have to be approval at the local level for the site of a landfill, a new landfill.
Okay. At the present time now, they don't have to even deal with the local folk. They can just bypass. It's been bypassing.
No. For any, this is regarding any new permit. So with the new, in regards to new permit, then the locals have the first bite at the apple, so to speak. So if it doesn't even meet the local approval, it doesn't even advance to the next step to be able to work its way towards ADM, for them to look at the technical aspects of each permit that's being applied for. And then if there's something they need to bounce back, that is to the entity that would be the developer, then that technical revision could be made for them to meet the specifications, whether it be state or federal. regulations. But this is what the intent of this bill is, to try to clarify that for each of these technical revisions, it doesn't have to bounce back all the way to the local government each and every time there's a technical revision. The local government's already had the opportunity to look at this, determine whether it be socioeconomic factors, whatever it might be, just the location of that site, that they do or they do not want it. And so once it's met that first major step in the process with local approval, then it goes on to ADM to be able to deal with the more technical aspects
So
of that.
ADM gives a shot at it before, after?
After.
After.
ADM doesn't have a shot at it until the locals approve first.
So, in other words, if it's having a problem, it's say Mobile or Birmingham or Birmingham or Mobile, we get a shot at it first before ADM. Then
Correct.
If we decide we don't need another one, ADM is out of it then.
Correct.
Okay, I like that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It. I appreciate it. I was glad you brought the bill. I'm gonna follow somebody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. All right, the chair recognizes the gentleman from Winston County, Representative Wadsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Certainly.
I've got a question. It says in the bill that if the site's been approved or a modified site, now, does this allow them to expand wherever they're working at without having to go back to get local approval?
No, my understanding, so once there's a permit, then normally there would be the, if you want to call it sales, that is across the landfill, areas that can be opened up. So that's a part of an initial, normally, site approval. That is the footprint that will be part of that.
Well, the reason I'm asking is in Jefferson County, there was a site that was involved in litigation. And they agreed that they would only, according to that, my understanding, according to that litigation, they would only be in existence at a certain time, for a certain period of time, and when that time period ended, then they could not renew that facility at that location. And I'm concerned that what this bill does is would attempt to allow them to override a settlement in a class action case that they had a long time ago in Jefferson County. And I'm also concerned, as part of that's a Jefferson County issue close to my area, but there's also an issue in Parrish, Alabama, where they were hauling in various types of sewage from New York that they left there for weeks and weeks. And this is part of the same problem that Representative South was talking about, is that ended up there was some, it allowed them to bring certain things in. And it says to a site, but it also says modified site that's been added to it. Not just getting a permit for that site, but a modified site. And my concern is this is trying to override what they've been trying with that class action settlement that happened in Birmingham, where they said they could operate it for maybe like 30 years, and then after that, they could not renew. Well, they're trying to get ADM to renew, and it sounds like this might be a bill designed to allow them to renew when they reached an agreement with those folks 30 years ago to not renew. And that's my concern about this bill. And I think it may have more implications than just a simple technical change.
No, but that is, really is the intent of this going forward, is really more so that we still retain that local control very heavily. And I understand what you're trying to say in regards to whether it be a modification on this. To my understanding, once there's been the initial, site approval, which there's that footprint.
And
so it may be that there are not sales of that particular operation that have been opened up yet, but they begin to open up in time as they expand into those areas.
In that class action case that they dealt with, there was an initial approval through ADM, but then they settled it as part of the class action case that they would not renew it after 30 years. And it says and in that area, they're wanting to modify the area. And my concern is this bill here affects Jefferson County because they maybe try to override that class action.
Right. I'll say that much like with Representative South, then I'll be more than happy then to try to work with you towards that to see if we need to. What we need to get answers first, clear answers, which at this point in time, being that you've asked you and Representative South both some very good questions in regards to maybe perhaps modifications and any types of maybe types of revisions, you want to call them technical, which it's hard to maybe exactly state what those might be, but that might need to come back to the local level.
Modified site that was added to this bill, not just the original site, but modified site, and I have some great concern.
Now, if I could jump in on that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've actually heard of modified site. Now, that's a whole new phrase to me. Now, modifications of the permit, yes, but of the site, I don't know that I've so much heard in regards to so much the
There's a
modified
sentence,
site.
I may have to go back and relook at my sentence on that. But as far as the bill being brought, how did the bill start out and who asked it to be brought?
Oh, regarding this?
Yes.
It stems back to 2017, and it actually goes deeper than that. I had some of my first bills that dealt with solid waste management. It goes back to 2010 and 2011, in which at that time then there were moratoriums on consecutive years. This actually goes back to, in my region in southwest Alabama, a proposed mega-site landfill, not actually in the footprint of my district, but very close by in Conecuh County. And as a result of that, then there were consecutive years of a moratorium, actually ended up being 3 years total, that no new permitting was permitted during that time. So we could take a look, a deep dive look, and try to study and look at maybe what we need to do. Out of that, it was 2017 is when the Solid Waste Management Task Force was created, in which I was tabbed to be the chairman of that group. All the stakeholders were a part of that. We came up with a new and improved, revised process to make sure that at the local level that they were very much protected. But we did make a substantive change in that, whereas the regional planning commissions used to be the second step in the process, it really was a ghost process, sort of a cover step, if you will, in which so we removed that and instead replaced that with the circuit court for that area where the permit's being applied.
Well, is the county still involved in approving all changes, or is this take them out?
Now we say all changes, once they made the initial approval to the permit being applied for, then now as it goes to the next step, the next step would be through the circuit court just to say, okay, yes, they've met the requirements of what the law requires. It then goes to ADEM. Now ADEM does their look at this from the more
What I'm
technical
asking
standpoint.
is the county involved in approving any changes under this bill, or have they been taken out of the process?
No, they're not. It's referred to as local host government, so it could be a county or municipality, either one. They could have a landfill.
Yeah.
So local host government, so the local host government, county or municipality, has not been removed, from the process.
Yeah, do they have to approve, right now before this bill is passed, do they have to approve all the changes
That was not required under the bill, the revised process. Under that, then, they were not required to approve any of the technical changes once it went to ADEM, and that's why we're trying to clarify the intent of what all the stakeholders that were part of this. So we had everything from the county, the league, ADEM. We had the waste management entities as well involved. We wanted all their input in this and what we did in refining the process.
Well, that's my concern, because I think it just sounds like, and I don't know, but it just sounds like it's going to impact some of what's going on in my district.
I don't know if you're asking, so is the league, is the county commission association, are they supportive of this? If that's what you're asking me, then yes. The answer is yes.
And are the the League of Municipalities supportive of this bill?
Very much so.
Okay. Why are they supporting the bill, taking them out the process?
I think it might be because of maybe an incident or two that they might have had along the way, and may even still be, having in regards to this. I know there's different flare-ups across the state in regards to different things involving landfills and such. And so in regards to that, I think that the league, I think that's one of the things that they're concerned with, to to provide, I guess the easiest way to put it, clarity to the process, that we thought we had it pretty well done back in 2017, but apparently sometimes you have to go back and revisit, and it looks like we're needing to clarify the intent.
Now, Representative South asked you a question, and then you said you're going to have to find out some information, and I did the same thing. You know, if we pass the bill without knowing what the implications are, that concerns me. But would you be willing to carry over the bill for a week to allow those answers to be obtained?
I'll let you make that determination, as that's what it would need to do. I would much prefer to go ahead and move forward with the bill, and as Representative South, then I would hope that you could be of like accord with him, and that is to work with me on that going forward. So if we can resolve those concerns, if not, we need to have them addressed as it moves to the Senate.
Well, I'm gonna move to carry the bill to carry the bill over. That's the proper motion to do. It may not be the proper motion, but I just want to find out.
It is a proper motion.
Okay.
You can make that motion to carry the bill over.
Okay.
And with that motion, I guess my question is, you want to carry it over temporarily, or you want to, what?
Carry it over and let it maybe come up next time, not tonight until we find out some
You
answers.
just want to carry it over on this one? Yeah, carry it over temporarily would be the proper motion for that.
Okay.
All right. You've heard the motion before you. Let's, everybody listen up. I can do this either way. I'm going to go ahead and we'll do it with a voice vote, if there's no objections to that. And the motion is to temporarily carry the bill over. All in favor of that?
Mr. Speaker, could I either make a comment
if you want to.
Okay, a comment, one would be, I have just received notification that if there's any attempt to expand the footprint, then that does have to go back through local approval. So that's really the primary factor, I guess, in this, is if it expands the footprint, then, and I thought that I might have sort of said that.
Would it allow it to be continued over? I mean, would it allow one that's about to be shut down to be reapproved?
No, I think, so,
Is
you
that-
say about
that's
to be
what-
shut down, I don't understand.
Yeah, in Jefferson County, there's a landfill that originally started, and I don't know if I'm on the proper time.
Well, you've run out of time on yours. We need to vote on your motion now. I tell you what, let's do, Mr. Clerk. Let's go ahead and take a recorded vote on this. Yeah, I think that'd be
Can I
the
make
most
a
best
motion
way.
to lay that on the table, his motion?
Yeah,
Okay.
you couldn't. It's not like a.
Well, thanks for checking.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you for that. All right, let's go ahead, members. We're going to vote on this. You've got a motion on the floor now to temporarily carry this bill over, pull it off the calendar and carry it over. If you're in favor of that motion, if you're in favor, listen up now. Listen up, everybody. Try to make this so everybody understand. We've got a motion on the floor to carry the bill over, which means it'll come off of the calendar and it'll go back on the pick list to be picked at a later date. All right, that's your motion that we're going to be voting on. If you're in favor of that motion, then the vote will be aye. If you're opposed, then your vote is no. Well, the sponsor
sponsor, I would ask
doesn't
members-
want to carry it over.
I would ask the members to vote no.
That's right. Okay. All right. So if you vote with the sponsor, you're voting no. If you vote with the motion from Representative Wadsworth to carry it over, then your vote will be yes. All right? Everybody good? See some heads nodding? Okay. All right. All right. Because this is an unusual motion. We don't normally have this kind of motion. All right. Clerk unlock the machine and the members will vote. All the members voted? All the members voted? All right. I don't know if I've seen this board that red in a long time. Clerk will lock the machine. Let's record the vote. There's 16 yeas, 81 nays, and 0 suspension, and the motion does not prevail. So we're back on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you. All right, we're back on the bill now, and the chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson speaking on the passage of the bill. Representative Moore, you still wish to speak? No, okay. The lady from Madison, Representative Hall, you still want to speak on the bill? Members, while Representative Hall is coming down, I just want to thank y'all. We've had a long, long day, and you continue to work, so I appreciate your work.
We don't want to say you're welcome, though, but thank you.
Yes, ma'am. That was not intended for you in any way. You're part of it. We're all working together.
All right. The concerns that were raised really got my attention. So I was trying to determine, based on what you heard, are those concerns in terms of what do you expect to look for as it relates to the concerns that were raised by Klaus and the gentleman from
Wadsworth and South, right?
Right.
Right. I think the main thing is just to determine in regards, because these are technical revisions, the process does start at the local level, which that's been emphasized over and over, and all. And so as it does advance up to ADEM, this is simply trying to clarify that each and every time that there's a technical revision, it doesn't have to go back to the locals, which becomes very costly. Not only that, it also becomes very time-consuming for the landfills then to be put in place, and all, because it is a process. It's rather long. When I say rather long, I'll say it's a process to get through that, going from the local. And not only that, you have with the locals, I didn't get into all the technicality of it, but you got so many days that there's got to be both the written notification, then you have to actually have a physical meeting. And so a number of things that are done to try to make sure and ensure that the locals are involved first and foremost at the local level. And so this is going beyond this. What this is clarifying is more as it's gone beyond the locals and now has gone to ADEM for their review and looking at the review of each of these permitting sites based on what they can accept, based on in regards to the footprint of that, then that they begin to make their either return on the revisions that are needed for that permit to move forward, but it's not having to go back through the locals again as they've already approved the site.
So I really, anytime you talk about solid waste management and facilities, we always think about the African American community or poor communities. So, but earlier somebody mentioned the term of modified existing solid waste, and you indicated that was not.
I think that what threw me was such as like a modified site. That was real puzzling to me. I don't know that I've heard like modifying the site. It almost makes it sound like that you can change the site, and
Stop right there. Stop right there.
Okay.
So it's in your bill, that word modified existing solid waste. On page 1.
Now, modification, yes, very familiar with that.
Yeah, but look.
Modifications to the permit. So modifications to the permit, yes, those are made.
I'm going on what I heard,
Okay.
So the bill would provide that the governing body has authority to approve or disapprove each new solid waste management site or a modified existing solid waste management site. And I thought I had heard you say you were not clear on that, but that is a part of your synopsis.
Right. Well, actually, I don't do the synopsis are prepared independent of the sponsor oftentimes, but you are correct. That is, I'm not refuting any of that. Right. No, you're referring to the bill now and not the synopsis, because synopsis does drop off.
Right, but when you go to page 3, if you go to page 3 and you look at in determining whether to approve a new solid waste management site or, and this is underlined, the new part, A modified existing solid waste management site.
Right. And that you make a very good point with that, and I think that's part of this that I hope to get a little bit stronger clarity on that when it says modified, exactly to what extent that goes. But what I seem to clearly understand on this is that it does not allow for that footprint to grow in regards to that.
Make your statement again.
My understanding that this does not allow the footprint, that is, to expand the site and all, the permitting site, without it going back to the locals.
So what do you understand the modified site to mean, or a modified existing? So what do you understand
Well,
that to mean?
that's where I would need to get more of the technical stuff of it, which I'm not as well versed on. So once again, I've had considerable amount of work on this, but this specific question is not something, I guess, that has surfaced that I've been exposed to. So that could be something which once I'm sort of speculating on this, I will get answers in regards to that. But it could be perhaps that in regards to the type of waste, because you have different types of waste that are a part of a given site, and any other the more technical revisions as to what it might require in regards to that site based on the type of waste that they receive, such as thickness of liner or things like that are very technical.
So in light of the fact that you are moving forward with this bill, I understand you had made a commitment to the two gentlemen that you're going to get additional information on,
Yes,
on be inclusive.
Oh, certainly, because I want what's best for the locals going forward.
And I'd like to know that as well. Thank
Certainly,
you.
I'll be glad to include you as well. Thank you.
All right, members, the question before us now is going to be on final passage of House Bill 304. If you were in favor of this bill, your vote will be aye. If you opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Voting on final passage. All the members voted. All the members voted. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. There are 83 yeas, 10 nays, 5 abstentions, and House Bill 304 is passed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And
Yes,
Mr. Speaker, if I may, just a quick closing comment on this.
Yes.
I much appreciate your patience, the staff here on this.
Sure.
I appreciate the patience of the members on this. I do make that pledge that Representative South, Representative Wadsworth, Representative Hall, then I will be more than happy to work with you going forward as this bill advances. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for that kind of attitude. All right, good, good. All right, Mr. Clerk, let's call the next bill on special order.
On page 37 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 186 by Senator Hatcher relating to port authorities.
And Representative Bracy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And actually, we're going to ask that we carry this bill over.
All right. At the request of the sponsor working, and it be to carry this bill over. Any
Yeah,
objections?
We're also going to ask for it to be indefinitely postponed.
Indefinitely postponed.
Yes,
Is
the
that the
House
motion?
bill, House Bill 250 has already passed and been enacted, so it's identical to this bill.
That'll be fine. All right, so the motion before you is to indefinitely postpone this bill. Any objections? Hearing none? We can do that? Well, that's right, we sure do. Thank you, Mr. Clerk, keeping us straight. In order to indefinitely postpone, we would have to adopt the BIR. But we can just carry the bill over. Your motion to carry it over, we can do that. That'd be fine. All right, let's go back to the original motion just to carry the bill over, and that way we will not have to go through any voting procedure. Any objections to that motion? Hearing none, that bill be carried over.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, call the next bill on special order.
On page 28 of the calendar, House Bill number 429 with amendment by Representative Ledbetter relating to the State Board of Education.
And Leader Ledbetter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask to carry this bill over.
All right, the motion before you is carry the bill over. Any objections? Hearing none, then that bill will be carried over as well. Thank you, Representative Ledbetter. All right, Mr. Clerk, I think we've got that special order out of the way. We've got to go back to one order of business, and now the House will receive a report from the Committee on Rules on Resolutions. Point of order, Representative Rogers, you want to come down? Yes, sir, Representative Rogers.
You said the other day that y'all gonna give us a report of how many House bills Senate was passing, right? So y'all will hold y'all meeting and y'all will give us a report of how many House bills they're passing in the Senate.
We're going to do that as soon as we finish the resolutions. We'll make that before we adjourn.
Okay.
He's got the report ready.
Okay, I remember you said it. I just thought you were going to leave without doing it.
I will tell you that we've had meetings with Senate leadership to that point. We've had meetings with Senate leadership over the last several days, and they passed a lot of House bills out today, and they are starting to move more through committees.
Okay. I just remember I wrote it down on my little note.
Yes,
I've
sir.
been waiting on the note to be fulfilled, and I was getting worried. You
I hadn't forgot about you, and like I say, we've been working on it to get information in.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's go now to the receive a report from the Committee on Rules on Resolutions.
House Joint Resolution number 138 by Representative Haynes congratulating the Section High School boys basketball team for winning the 2022 Alabama High School Athletic Association Class 2A State Championship. House Joint Resolution number 139 by Representative Haynes congratulating the Pisgah High School girls basketball team for winning the 2022 Alabama High School Athletic Association Class 2A State Championship, its record-tying 5th consecutive state championship win. House Joint Resolution number 143 by Representative Faulkner commending the Homewood High School Patriot Marching Band and Director Chris Cooper and declaring them to be musical ambassadors for the state of Alabama. Senate Joint Resolution number 69 by Senator Livingston congratulating the Plainview High School basketball team on winning the 2022 Alabama High School Athletic Association Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship. Senate Joint Resolution number 70 by Senator Livingston congratulating the Pisgah High School girls basketball team for winning the 2022 Alabama High School Athletic Association Class 2A State Championship, its record-tying 5th consecutive state championship win. Senate Joint Resolution number 71 by Senator Livingston congratulating the Section High School boys basketball team for winning the 2022 Alabama High School Athletic Association Class 2A State Championship. Senate Joint Resolution number 72 by Senator Livingston congratulating the Cornerstone Christian Academy Lady Eagles varsity basketball team on winning the 2022 Alabama Christian Athletics Association with Division IIA Girls Basketball State Championship.
Chairman Jones, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the resolutions of congratulations, commendation, condolence, and sympathy as favorably reported by the Committee on Rules.
All right, members, you've heard the motion before you, and all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the resolutions are adopted. Mr. Clerk, next resolution.
House Joint Resolution number 115 by Representative Clark creating the Alabama Workforce and Wage Gap Task Force.
All right, and
Move adoption.
lady from Madison, you want to speak on this resolution?
When you get to the one with Marsh, I'd like to make sure I get a chance to have it read, please.
Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and let's concentrate on House Joint Resolution 115. If you in favor of this resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Mr. Clerk.
House Joint Resolution number 142 by Representative Faulkner recognizing the Alabama Yom HaShoah commemoration on April 26, 2022.
And Chairman Jones?
Move adoption.
All right, the motion before us is adoption of HJR 142. All in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
The sponsor of that HJR, Representative Faulkner, had asked that we ask for all members being co-sponsors, and I think he wanted to do it to where we had a vote that would show on the screen to be able to let the people that this applies to be able to see that vote of the members.
All right, so you want we're requesting a recorded vote for this?
I think just for the purpose of the photograph and video to be able to send to that group, I believe. Is that correct? He'll have to show on the screen. If we call a vote. If it's a voice vote.
Well, I'm confused of what are we trying to do here?
He just wants a recorded vote.
Recorded vote.
For co-sponsors.
Faulkner wants to take a photo of it.
All right, let's, all right, let's go ahead and, if you are in favor, let's, hold up, everybody, so we know what we're doing here.
This is serious now.
This is a
This is
recorded
our
vote, so
Holocaust
we need-
remembrance
it's not
we
a
do
joke.
every year.
All right, what we're fixing to do is take a recorded vote at the request of the resolution sponsor for HJR 142. If you're in favor of this resolution, your vote will be aye. If you're opposed, your vote is no. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. All right, here we go. You're voting.
What?
All the members voted. All the members voted? All right. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. All right, there are
Thank you, members.
96 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and the HJR is passed. All right, let's go to the next resolution, Mr. Clerk.
Senate Joint Resolution Number 73 by Senator Marsh relating to Alabama, a state of character.
All right, and the lady from Madison wants to speak on this?
I would say, and I would ask that it be read, because I have no idea what we mean when we say Alabama state of character.
All right, and do we have any copy of that resolution? We can speak to it. You want to, Mr. Chairman Jones, how you want to handle that?
Go ahead. Either way, whatever you like. I just want you to see it.
Okay. All right, so we're ready now, and Chairman Jones, you'll make a motion on SJR 73.
Move adoption.
All right, the motion before us is the adoption of SJR 73. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Mr. Clerk, next resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution Number 74 by Senator Wagner creating the Alabama Municipal Fees and Fines Study Task Force.
And Chairman Jones?
Mr. Speaker, the sponsor of this SJR has asked or requested that the SJR be indefinitely postponed.
All right, the question before us to indefinitely postpone this SJR 74. Any objections to that motion? Hearing none, then the resolution is indefinitely postponed. All right. Mr. Clerk, that's got all the resolutions. All right, good. All right. Now let's move to, I have a point of personal privilege from Representative Farley. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try to be quick with this. I'd like to ask us to suspend the rules for a time-sensitive resolution, House resolution, please, sir.
All right, and would you just make mention so the members might have an idea what they're voting on the suspension?
This one gets kind of personal. In Hueytown, Alabama is part of House District 15 that it's been a privilege to serve them. In Hueytown, a lot of you may know that that's the home of the legendary NASCAR drivers, the Alabama Gang. Well, tonight, Red Farmer, who's 89 years old, who's been racing for 79 years, tonight, March the 17th, when he crawls into his race car at the Talladega Short Track, he will enter the Guinness Book of World Records for the oldest NASCAR driver still actively racing. The personal point for me is I'm 70 years old. 52 years ago, I asked my wife of 47 years, I asked her parents, and I was 18 at the time, she was much younger, if she could go on a date with me to the races. And we went and watched Red Farmer and the Allison brothers race. Well, tonight, I'd like to commend Red Farmer on his accomplishments as in NASCAR.
All right, okay, well, you've heard explanation. You've heard explanation, so the suspension of the rules vote. Are there any objections to suspension of the rules to bring this time-sensitive resolution? Hearing none, then let's go ahead, and now we're ready to vote on the resolution.
Could I have everybody?
You want the House co-sponsors on it? All right, members, are there any objections to the House being a co-sponsor on this resolution? All right, hearing none, then the House will be considered co-sponsors. And is everybody in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Thank the body.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. And Chairman Jones, point of personal privilege, and Representative Rogers, listen up good. We're going to talk about Senate bills, House bills.
All right, so members, this is the data. In fact, Tracy just brought this out to me a few minutes ago, so this is as of 7:20 p.m. today. As far as bills introduced by the Senate, 328. Bills introduced by the House, 518. I'm going to look back. So the next relevant issue is pending committee action in second House. So what that means is it's past our House, going to the Senate, or past the Senate and come to us. So pending committee action in second House, Senate bills 32, House bills 74. Bills ready to enroll, Senate 0, House 2. Bills enrolled, Senate 9, House 30. Bills enacted, Senate 50, House 28. Of those 50, 7 are sunset bills, so you have to subtract that off the top when you're looking at this. And that's the relevant stats. If you want to see any more specific data, we collect this pretty regularly, pretty much daily, and you're welcome to come down and look at it.
All right, members, keep up with this because I know your leadership's going to be watching. We're constantly in touch with the Senate to make sure we're trying to move the pieces of legislation. All right. With that in mind, Chairman Jones, you got a comment?
Mr. Speaker, and I hear some comments, but I should also remind our members, whenever we sub a bill on our floor, a Senate bill for a House bill, that's what's adding to these numbers. So, I want to make sure our members understand, the reason why the Senate bills are high is we're contributing to that by doing all the subs that we've been doing. So these numbers, they're not as reflective of reality because some of that reality we caused.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I will say in my years of time here, I've never, in my experience as Rules Chairman, I've never seen a year where we've had so many Senate bills substituted so early in the session. And every calendar we've had substitutions for that. So that is a part of that number. So just keep that in mind. But we're constantly in touch with them to make sure we're treated fairly, and we'll keep working on it. All right, members, listen, 7:30. We've had a very long day. I know the people of Alabama who are listening, I hope they appreciate the work that you're doing and the work that you've done. And as we move forward, we've got a spring break coming up. Be safe. Safe travels to you. We've got Senate messages here, but we're going to move on and address those Tuesday when we come back. So now I'll take a motion from Chairman Pringle.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand in adjournment until Tuesday, March the 29th at 1 p.m. and leave the journal open till the clerk completes his paperwork.
All right, members, you've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned.